Hello, I'm Matthew Morgan, and for my merit badge communications, I will be interviewing Michael Albert. All right. First question: when and where were you born?
When and where? Dallas, Texas, uh, October 2nd, 1941. St. Paul's Hospital, the old St. Paul's, the original.
Who was in your family?
Who was in my family at the time I was
Yep.
born? My father, mother, and two sisters, both of them older.
Where did you live for most of your childhood?
Up until I was 13, I lived, 13, 14, I lived in Dallas, Texas, primarily in University Park, in the Park Cities.
What are some notable childhood memories that you have?
Oh, one kind of unusual childhood memory is, unlike you would think would be a big memory, my mother would send me out to play during the summer when I was young, and I didn't have a lot of friends at that time because I was, I guess, too young to go to see them. So I'd go out into my garden, out to the flower beds, and find a place down in the middle, and I'd play just with figures, with sticks, with whatever. Just kept myself entertained.
And where did you go to school throughout your childhood?
Park Cities in Dallas, Texas.
How did you spend most of your time growing up?
Uh, well, depends on the time of year. During the summer, I spend most of my time in the pool, swimming pool at University Park swimming pool, and during the winter, of course, it was mostly in school, and then going over to my friend's house, with them coming over to mine.
What were some of your favorite movies from your childhood?
Wow. Well, at first, I went to the movies with my parents, and I'd see a lot of the what y'all would now consider super old-fashioned movies with people like Doris Day and Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire, musicals. And but later on, of course, I could go see more teen-themed movies. All the pixel stuff and all that was not around at that time, so all the stuff we could go see was Saturday matinees, and that was things like Tarzan serials. They were all serials. You'd go early in the morning, you'd have meet all your kids at the Village Theater in Park Cities, and we'd all sit down in the theater for practically all of Saturday. You'd sit down, you'd get some candy from the stand, and then all sit together and we watch several things. You'd have usually a Tarzan serial, then you'd have the main feature, and in between times you'd have 3 or 4 or 5 comics, meaning Tom and Jerry's comics, various ones like that.
What has been your favorite technological change between your childhood and now? Like, what technological item do you find is like the most helpful in your day-to-day life?
Oh wow. Huh. Changes or discoveries?
Discoveries.
Discoveries would, of course, be the computer and all its derivatives, meaning smartphones and everything that has come from that, of course.
What was a big moment in your early life?
Big moment. Wow. How early?
I'm thinking like maybe like before 21, like your kind of teen childhood years.
Oh, before I'm 21 would be my grandfather on my dad's side. When he passed away, had a stroke down in Biloxi, Mississippi. We all drove down there, and it for the funeral, but so that was kind of, so I didn't get to go see him. He was in the hospital, and I could just go by the hospital, but you know, I wasn't, I guess, that close to him, but I enjoyed the little time that we had.
Mm-hmm. What was your favorite toy growing up?
Well, I guess since this is to be shown to somebody else, I'll call it having a slingshot, and because I enjoyed it, and sometimes it'd start out store bought,
Mm-hmm.
or we'd make them with sticks and rubber from old inner tubes. All tires back then had inner tubes, and so you get an old one and tear it up and make strips and make a slingshot out of it.
What was your first job?
My first job, let me see. I guess my first job was with let me see if it was the first. I had two jobs, so kind of the first. One during the school year. I worked usually continually since I was 14 at something. And I worked with Garden Center in Darien, Connecticut. When we moved up there, I should say, when I was 14. My dad was with Mobile Oil, got transferred up to New York, and we bought a house in Darien, Connecticut.
What job in your life did you enjoy the most?
Two of them, when I was young, was I worked at Mobile Oil downtown New York as a messenger boy, which was quite exciting because I moved up there when I was 14, and I was 15 that year that I got that summer job with Mobile, which was Dad had to pull some strings to get me to be able to work at 15, but which is quite exciting to be a messenger boy at 15 in New York City, and I couldn't find the way out of Grand Central Station right, and to have to navigate every subway system to find the places to go to was quite an interesting thing. It got easier. I did that for 3 summers.
What would you say is a major difference between Dallas and then New York City, relevant to like that time, right? Like the time period you were a teenager.
What are you talking about, Dallas and New York City or Darien, Connecticut? I lived in Darien, Connecticut, but just worked a little bit and went to, my folks would take me, my dad would get us tickets to Broadway musicals in New York, and it was quite a difference in the downtown areas of of New York City and Dallas, Texas at the time, it would be no comparison.
Did you graduate college, and if so, what was your major?
Yes, I did. In 1965, from Baylor University, Hankover School of Business. My major was I got a BBA, and my major was marketing and management. Had a dual major.
What was a major event in your adult life?
Major event. Of course, I guess each major event was my parents passing away. My father first. He had a brain tumor, and then my mother, and I guess those were the two major events.
When did you meet your wife?
When did I meet my wife? My wife, Barbara Carey, I met her at Darien. I moved up to Darien. She moved from Boston to Darien several years before I did. But we met probably in the 8th grade or 9th grade. And then, we knew each other then. Then we were in classes together in high school. And we started going together in the last couple of years in high school.
All right, and final question: when would you say, like, kind of the '60s or the '50s, like white picket fence and like nuclear family, all those kind of like things kind of started to change and kind of fade away from America? Like, was there any particular event you think it happened, or was it just kind of more of like a slow, gradual change?
Well, I think the big thing was probably the impetus for most of it was the Vietnam War, 1965. Before then, leading up to that was rock and roll in the 50s and early 60s. And then 1965, when I graduated, all the things were happening. The president got shot. Vietnam War was over in '69, and it had a big effect. The veterans coming home. So that was it.
All right. Thank you very much. I have been Matthew Morgan, and I have been interviewing Michael Albert. Thank you.
Thank you.